Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of 3 Live Canes. This one, obviously, not feeling as good as it was last week, but hey, we're here, we're in the paint. We'll talk about the Canes no matter what. And with the way college football is now, I mean, hell, some teams have already moved on to next year, and they moved on for quite a while now, for a month now. So the day after Miami plays in and loses the national championship game, you got guys on campus trying to get in the transfer portal. So they move on, we move on to the next thing, and we'll figure out how to build it back again for next season. But before we get to talking about all that stuff, Bill, how are we feeling tonight?
Not so big vibing as normal, but it is what it is. It was a painful, and sad Monday night. And I know we'll get into all that, but I do have to say I was very impressed with the maturity of this fan base. Usually after a loss, it is like pure chaos and anarchy, but everyone kind of came together, and there was a lot of positivity after that game. So I think Canes fam kind of represented very well, despite the emotional loss of a national championship game.
Yeah, it's unlike a thing that a lot of us have experienced in a lifetime. I know Steve-O kind of mentioned it before we went on the air. It's like for people of Steve-O's age range, like that were maybe too young to really have it locked in on what happened in 2002, the 2002-03 season. This is a tough one, but it's part of the deal. It's part of playing football. Steve-O, how are we doing tonight?
I mean, yeah, it's part of one team wins, one team loses. That's the point of the game. Find out who wins, and we came up short. We'll get into that mostly, but it's just the way we lost. The special teams literally killing us. It hurts. It just hurts. No way around it. It's painful. Other than Canes fans bashing Ethan O'Connor, everybody was fine. I don't really care for the bashing. Those are two back shoulder throws. I don't get why people are coming at him. But yeah, we already moved on. We have a quarterback that's getting sued by his current school. That's we have a bunch of guys who've already committed. More guys that are coming in to visit. I mean, we have really a guy like it's just nice. It's just nice to move on to recruiting to try to live through this L. But I'm still proud of the team. Still proud of this. But that's the one thing about. We used to have fun off seasons because of recruiting and things like that, and the regular season will be trash. But now we're getting great regular seasons. Championship run. Gonna have to find out how to win, learn how to win that big game. But we won 3 big games to get there. So you go in 3 out of 4 in a college football playoff run. I mean, just looking at it, we were playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl last year. So you have to just take it for what it is. It's a huge step forward in the program. And realistically, I mean, can't believe I'm saying it, but it really was a great game, and we lost that game. So it just gives me the faith that Coach Cristobal can, even put a better roster together, or something that's just as good as this roster. There's probably no replacing Bain, but there's a guy visiting that would be, a great fit. The number one guy in the portal. Former 5-star. So, things move, but I guess I'm just normal vibing.
Yeah, which I honestly, the lack of big vibing and chilling today is pretty indicative of the feelings of everybody. But, we'll power through it. We'll talk about what happened in the game a little bit, talk about obviously the future, because that's really where everyone's focus has got to be now. Looking on to next season and, over the course of the next couple of days, next 2 weeks, as we figure out a lot of stuff legally, as everyone decides to be a lawyer or put on their lawyer shoes for a little bit. But we're here to talk to you guys about some Canes football. 3 Live King.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin sprayed.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.
Hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Devin Hester up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Who else but John? Who else but us here on a Wednesday to talk to you guys about Miami Hurricanes football? As everyone who would even be watching this show on a Wednesday night knows, Miami lost in the title game against Indiana the other night. A game that Miami at first looked like they couldn't put it together on offense, and then when they did put it together on offense, some mistakes, some miscues, led to their demise. As what happens when you play against a team like Indiana, who plays high-level ball, with a lot of guys that don't make a ton of mistakes, and their quarterback makes some really significant plays and puts the ball on a spot where some receivers can make some crazy catches. But either way, Miami does fall. And I will say, just from my perspective of it, and I don't know. Honestly, I was surprised myself a little bit because Bill was talking about how the fan base was, and Steve, I echoed those thoughts. You kind of expect yourself to act a certain way. But I think I tried to say, like, over the past month or so, like, really enjoy it, because you never know when you get back to something like this. And last week I remember saying it's been 23 years since, like, the last time we experienced something like this. So I tried my best to really actually enjoy the whole process of it. And I did. I enjoyed the process of getting there. Obviously, like, the grand scheme of things, you want to win that game more than anything else. That's what you play for. That's why you root for teams to eventually get a shot at that. But I'm grateful that I have had the opportunity to see those games and play and see Miami win. I mean, three of the biggest games that they've played. The three biggest games that they've played in 20 years, they won. Then they lost the biggest one. So, I mean, winning three of them was a pretty crazy ride. And for someone who watches these games and I'm like, oh, we're going to lose, we're going to blow it, because it's just the way I watch football games, to actually pull out those wins before the final, pretty crazy. But, yeah, I didn't. And to Steve-O's point about roster building, I didn't look at this roster and say national champion. The fact that we got close with a roster that I think Mario can continue to improve upon tells me that, like, we're still very much an ascending team here, with the opportunity to keep on building and adding and doing some more damage. So I anticipate this being a yearly conversation that we have. So, but Steve-O, just a big picture, because we want to want to move over and talk about the next step of things. But biggest takeaways from the game, like, and I don't want to say things you wish you could have back, because obviously, like, the punt block and all that kind of stuff, but just biggest takeaways you watching that game. What were the things that stuck out to you?
I think, we got away from the run game a little bit. Just the first half play calling, I thought, was just so conservative. And then there was like an hour in real time of, in between touches for Mark. And that just made no sense. And, one thing that popped out to me is, Indiana was elite defending in the edge. A gap is where you're supposed to go for them. But Mark bust that 56-yarder hit into the edge. We have great receivers that, make those blocks. We have, CC on the edge. I just thought we should have maybe tried to hit them to the edge a little bit more in the running game. That's just the things that I tend to look at everything more from an offensive point of view. Defensively, I'm not mad at them at all. I mean, we had them out there so damn long. We were down corners. We came in down corners because of the stupid targeting call, which probably limited how they wanted to play. Since they were really, really soft coverage, giving Mendoza those easy throws. I mean, we're literally just giving them to him. 5-yard hitches, 6-yard hitches all night. I mean, the whole first half, really. And then we changed it up once Lucas got back. We let OJ be OJ. But again, he went down. Obviously, he's been fighting through that injury this whole time, saying he's healthy. But we know what healthy is at the end of a 16-game season. That's the guy who's going through some things. So definitely want to just big thing that popped out is just the lack of just offensive production that put us in that hole. Yeah, we scored 21 in the second half, but I mean, there were just plays to be made out there in the first half. You can't put yourself in these holes. Obviously, special teams that killed us. Defense, they played, obviously they gave up plays, but I mean, those are more just one-on-one plays that Indiana executed on really well. There were some run plays that, you could get mad at that they popped them, but man, their defense was out there for so damn long. Ruben Bain, you heard him, you heard from him, you saw him, all night. Mesidor all night. Moten, Moten's been a guy who's been battling injuries. He was in and out of the lineup, going crazy inside. Some penalties that hurt us. That besides the special teams penalties again, jumping off sides, false starts, those pre-snap penalties.
Face mask.
Who we were, the face mask on a 3rd and 17, so that hurt. Just a lot of penalties, and obviously, the big elephant in the room, which gave them points. But man, I just can't help feel that we just literally gave a national championship away, and it wasn't like it was you could point at one person. I mean, it was just literally boom, 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 boom. We needed to play mistake-free football versus Indiana. We just did not.
Mm-hmm. That's really what it boils down to. You play against them like that, like I said, they don't make a ton of mistakes. If you do, the face mask, like the penalties, it's like only break your back so many times before you're never walking again. Go, Bill. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was a frustrating watch. As is kind of almost like the MO of this team to a certain degree. But when push came to shove, right? Credit to Indiana, they made the plays on special teams. We didn't, right? They made the tackles. We didn't, right? When it really counted the most. So it just seemed like we just were hanging on, and we just couldn't get over that hump. We needed a stop on defense, couldn't get it. And that, despite all that, we still had the ball, 40 yards away from a national championship with 50 seconds left. So, I feel like there was, quite a bit of meat left on the bone. But we said it all leading up to it, right? But both teams, every team makes mistakes during the game, but we made the catastrophic ones, the ones that really put you in a deep hole that really good teams like Indiana don't let you out of, and that's exactly how it played out. I think some guys are probably going through some certain plays, right? Probably for the next few years of their lives, right? If I would have done this differently, if I would have done that differently, the outcome would have been different, and very well maybe. But again, credit to Indiana. 16-0 is a super impressive run by them. But we let them off the hook. We had it. This could have easily been on Miami when there wasn't a big difference between the two teams. But they kind of did to us what we've done to Texas A&M and Ohio State and Ole Miss. They kind of out-Miami'd us, so to say.
They just bled us. Like, I think that was it. They bled that defense, and they had them out there for eternities. And going to that one. CF Game Fan has questions to Steve-O. How should those back shoulder throws be defended? Because I'm pretty sure we talked about it last week, that this was something that they like to do, and then how do you go about it? But Steve-O, what would your thoughts be?
I mean, there's no way really to defend that. You got to understand why they throw back shoulder throws. They don't go in the huddle and say, hey, back shoulder fade. No, they're going vertical, and you being in good coverage, being over top, and like Ethan O'Connor was in good position. Now you're running with this receiver, and then you're waiting for an indicator so you could turn around and look for the ball and play it in the air. And so when you're running in phase like this, and the ball is instead thrown at a receiver where he's going away from you towards the sideline, you completely eliminate the defender from the play. It's all about execution offensively. You can, if you're able to put your foot in the ground and come back to it, you could try to fight through hands, make it a contested catch to the ground. But it's really more about execution between receiver and quarterback. The best thing you could do is, be disruptive at the line of scrimmage, try to, make the quarterback go elsewhere without holding it. That's probably a way to, stop it from happening, but not a consistent method. I mean, it's tough to play because if you're underneath it and in good position for the back shoulder, the quarterback's just going to throw it over the top of your head, which is, what every DB is taught to avoid.
Yeah. And it's from the guy that they were going against, Charlie Becker. I mean, you might have your assumptions about him, but he's like one of the fastest guys on the team. Like they said it a couple of times, but he's a deep ball guy, and O'Connor had to be ready for that. Like he couldn't let him just get straight up behind him and have a free run on
break the game wide open.
Yeah.
It's just really, the OJ that played, I just read it, the comments you read at the bottom. That was offensive PI, bro. He couldn't even get his other hand up. That was crazy. That was offensive PI. They should have called that. That would have. Wouldn't have did nothing. I mean, I start playing that game, but that was offensive PI, bro. That was crazy. OJ Frederick, he came to play. When they finally said, "Hey, we're gonna go up there and play man and press," yo, they was going at him, and he didn't give up nothing, nothing. They lucky he was out the rest of the game because man, they wasn't getting away with none of that.
Yeah, he got after it, and that was, I mean, everyone was saying the same thing. Everyone was watching the television yelling, saying, "Get on him, get up on him, get up on him," because it also gave the defensive line a chance to like get out there and actually get some pressure up, because Mendoza wasn't able to make those cheapos, and a guy like Surratt, like that's exactly what he wants. Like he could get that big body turned around and catch the ball, like, drag a guy for 2 or 3 yards. Like you get up in his face and you force him to try to run by you, it's going to be a lot harder on him.
I mean, Mendoza is elite at throwing that ball. A lot of people go back shoulder. He's going back hip. There was literally nothing you could have did on some of those throws, and it pisses you off because it's just literally nothing I could have asked Ethan O'Connor to do.
Yeah,
I mean, we held Mendoza to like 180 yards passing, and it was his lowest, I think, QB rating since like week 1. So, I mean, it's not like they went out and torched us. They just made the right plays at the right time. He didn't go out throwing for 330, bombing all over the place. They
didn't bomb the DBs, but the DBs were first half tackling was terrible. Zachariah Poyser, who has been probably heaven sent. I mean, he's probably been the best one-on-one open field tackler in on our team all year long, and he was missing tackles. That just tells you how that was going for us, because there was a lot of plays that went for 15, 12, 15 in the run game that should have been 6-yard, 7-yard gains. That we needed to make those tackles. There was tackles that we were on one-on-one on the corner, and we let them get stretched to the sideline. I mean, DB tackling, it was different than what we were used to.
Yeah, for sure. And you think about what Indiana's offense was able to do against some other teams, like obviously what they did to Alabama and then what they did to Oregon, which is like going to be talked about and around Oregon's building like throughout the entire summer. They were not able to do it to Miami
next year.
What's that?
It's going to happen again next year.
Probably,
yeah, no.
But that did not happen against Miami. It happened against Bama. It happened against Oregon. It did not happen against Miami. So, I'm not trying to like win moral victories here, but I mean, Miami, they went out there and played, and those guys battled.
Nobody is going to bully ball us. We might give a game or two, but if they let us in the playoffs and it's bully ball time, baby, it's time for Mario to shine.
I think this was clearly the best 2 teams in the country playing. Especially in the 12-team play. People, you earn your way there, but you just feel like a lot of times, these national championship games, they are usually decided by double digits. But just watching that game, like you just knew, right? Like these are the 2 heavyweights this year. Miami put the SEC in their place. Indiana helped out with that, even though Bama probably shouldn't have been in the playoff to begin with. But these were clearly the 2 heavyweights, and they delivered a really good national championship game. It was just unfortunate that we were on the losing side of that one.
Yeah, and like Sergio just mentioned the last drive and where it was at the last drive, and back trying to put that. I don't know if we're recognizing the defense or whatever. I know that was what they talked about after, but I mean, you just got to figure Beck at that point had to know, and we all kind of knew. Like anytime Beck tried to get that ball, like especially deep to the sideline, it wasn't there. He just didn't have it, and Indiana was like on that one, obviously. But it's disappointing that it had to end that way. But someone said, it's crazy. They listed Carson Beck's like X amount of season ended with an interception. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you're a quarterback that plays in playoff games. Like, there's a very good chance that your last throw of a season is going to be an interception, right? So, it's going to be a touchdown or an interception.
He's lost 6 games in his college career, and 4 of them ended with him throwing a pick.
Yeah, I mean,
that's wild, but I just it is what it is. But you were probably 1 or 2 plays from having to take kind of that chance down the field. I think there was about 45, 50 seconds left.
Yeah, 51, I think. Before that
43 seconds.
Kind of like what Ole Miss did to us at the end. You just try and get as close as you can, and then that gives you a much better chance to get a PI or extend the game in some form. So we not hating in any way. That back drive against Ole Miss was one for the ages to win the game. Just bad decision, bad throw. It is what it is.
Yeah. Like you said, always plays you want to get back. Anytime you lose a game, there's plays you want to get back. It sucks when it's like one of the last ones because I know Steve-O did want to play that game before, but then you start being like, all right, so then if we get that past the Mally, blah, blah, blah. It's just something you can get caught up into. But right now we could kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about how this is all going to end up next year. And the biggest way for that to happen in a positive light is to have some fortuitous decisions made in the transfer portal. So we could put a little bow on last year and start thinking about next year because college football's calendar does not care about, hey, this is last year, this is next year. It just becomes some weird like little thing in the middle where everyone's already worried about next year. I mean, you got dudes visiting like in transfer portal, like I said before, the day after the national championship game. Like I couldn't imagine like you losing a game like that and then being like, all right, tomorrow I got to go back to work and then go get this guy. But that's the deal. And especially when you're trying to bring in big time guys. So we'll hit on some of the guys that Miami got, but also, I mean, I think the most timely stuff is related to two of the big targets we have, and then one guy that may technically not a target yet because he's not in the portal, but let's start with Damon Wilson, the edge player coming out of Missouri. Steve, I mentioned before, a 5-star guy out of high school, originally a Georgia guy, and then, making his way around. He's visited some different schools. He's visited a couple spots.
We almost got him when he went to Missouri.
Yeah, so it seems like this is trending well in a positive direction for Miami, especially considering he was there at an interesting time. He spent a bunch of hours with Jason Taylor, which is not bad when you have a Hall of Famer on the roster, and not bad when you have a dude who's about to probably go number 2 in the draft, playing your position, and another guy who's probably going to go in the top 20, even though he's 25 years old. Like that says a lot of how good Mesidor was. But Steve-O, your thoughts on Damon Wilson and his potential to be a Hurricane?
I mean, we almost got him twice already. Venice, coming out of Venice and Tampa area, going out of Georgia to Missouri. He's developed. He's a stud. He's a pass rusher. He's strong. He's big. He's 6'5", 260. He looks like, what an NFL player is supposed to look like. Has a very explosive burst, has dip, has pass rushing tools. This is a plug-and-play guy. This is a guy who's already – sound like Chris Collinsworth. This guy, but I mean, he's gone on these big visits, and he hasn't committed. Texas Tech, as we know, they invest in the D line probably more than anybody, at least openly. Talked about investing in the D line, and he made it out of there without a commitment. So we're looking good there, and that's the type of guy you want him to reel in if you want to play in these games again, because Ruben Bain and Mesidor, they took over games in the playoffs. We would not have had that run without them.
For sure. And like you said, Texas Tech, one of the biggest competitors for him. My thought on it, and we're talking about two different teams that have edge rushers that are both going to be in the draft. I think if you said to yourself, who would I rather have? Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, especially from a development standpoint, versus like very good players in David Bailey and Romello Height. I don't think anybody would say that I would take David Bailey and Romello Height over Mesidor and Bain. And that a lot of that comes by way of what Jason Taylor has been able to do with those guys.
When we say we're going to have the best tandem in the country and position group in the country, we're going to say that. And then for it to actually happen is awesome.
It is true.
Yeah, it was true. We had the best bookends in the country.
So, Damon Wilson, you're trying to go number 2 next year. I mean, conversation can be had because it's probably going to be Ruben Bain as a Jet. Sorry to say for some people out there, but it's very likely.
I mean, defensive linemen do great on the Jets. They ball and they get traded to go play for a winning team.
Oof. Very real, Steve-O.
I forgot you're a Jets fan. That's just being honest.
I get it, Steve-O. I said it was
you're
very real.
Ball, get like a bunch of reps in the league for being a really good player on like the worst team, and they're going to trade you.
Be a shining star in a pile of garbage, which, hey, could be worse. Bill, thoughts on David Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, you have to replace a generational duo in Bain and Mesidor. years from now, we're probably going to be talking about them like kind of the older guys do, with teams of those 80s and 90s with like, Stubbs and, those D linemen. But David Wilson's a hell of a place to start. So I can see him, coming in and, giving us, that Mesidor, level of production, which would be, phenomenal. But you got to close the deal and, reload on this D line. It sounds like we're going to get some good news on, Moten coming back. Moten and Scott probably give us one of the best defensive tackle tandems in the country going into next year, if not the best. So you surround them with, a dominant edge player that's, proven in Wilson. And then you have all these, younger guys that, have gotten snaps, plus a 5-star in Hayden Lowe, who was injured that, is going to, probably show why he was a 5-star. So, the D line, provided you land Wilson, sounds like we're going to reload pretty well, going into 2026.
Yeah, I don't know if you could say this about your stars and all that, but if we're talking about translating in college ball, like those 5-star D tackles and 5-star edge players, like that stuff works. those guys work out more often than not. And then you got your Blunts of the world. You got all these guys out there. If you're able to bring it. I mean, the two biggest recruiting things right now in defense are can you get Damon Wilson, obviously, and number two, can you make sure Moten stays put? Because I think with what Moten was able to do and playing injured, like dude would hobble off the field and be back out there playing full speed like 5 plays later. The amount of times it seemed like it happened over the course of the playoff where I'm like, oh damn, that's it for him. He's out. Moten's out. And then bang, Moten 99 back in there jumping over a lineman he just crushed to go chase down the quarterback. Like in my mind, if Moten went for the draft, he'd be our 3rd defensive lineman drafted in the 1st round. Maybe 2nd defensive lineman drafted in the 1st round before Mezzi. But, I mean, dude was an absolute animal, and he will only continue to get better. So, if he comes back, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go as far as Nick West is with top 5 pick, but he's a 1st-round pick whenever he decides to head on to the league. So, if he comes back, that's a huge, huge boost for Miami.
Our boy Cribby did say Moten is coming back within the last like hour or so. So, it sounds like –
yeah, okay. I'm glad that's out there because I think he's coming back. Unfinished business on the field, off the field education wise, put this type of tape out for 2 years.
Yeah.
This 1st round, and guess what? You used to take a chance going, see where you would land, but now I'm pretty sure he's being rewarded handsomely as he should be for his services. So it's a win-win. Get you some good cash, get you a degree, get your draft stock up, and we get another Broward County dog for another year.
And the big picture at the end of this thing, that like light at the end of the tunnel, the Jets have 3 first-round picks in 2027. So I mean, he can be joining back up with his boy Bain, man.
Yeah,
get the band back together. Jets got 2 first-rounders this year. Bain, Mesidor, Moten next year. Who needs a quarterback?
Then you use those 2 other ones to trade for Mensa.
There you go. But anyway, so I mean, I'm not like gonna say that I know everything about the 2027 or 2026 defensive tackle group across the country, but I would be stunned if there was any better pair than, like Bill said, with Justin Scott and Mod Moten coming back.
Yeah,
I would be stunned if anyone could even like line anybody up next to that.
People forget that Blunt, he reclassified. He's about to be a 3rd-year guy and be 20 years old. So
yeah.
I think we're 3 deep at defensive tackle. We'll probably maybe entertain a portal D tackle, but I mean, I think we had some guys leave. Artavius Jones, he hit the portal, so they might see a guy get picked up. But
we did grab Carter from Ohio State.
Yeah, that's a guy we missed literally last cycle. That was a guy I had a film review for him. I had to delete it because he was literally supposed to be a Cane, and I was hot. Yeah, I'm glad to have him back. He's explosive. Obviously he played with the current Hurricane, and that's nice to plug that in. But it does suck. We had also, Donta Simpson, hit the portal earlier, which was just like one of the weirdest situations. If modern college football is just normal, but still just weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna be good at D tackle. I think we're gonna be even better at edge, just like we were last year. Just just not another Ruben Baines walking through that tunnel. There's not enough of them.
Yeah, I mean, like the edge group, Giovanni Foster posting like the guys we have out there on the edge. Like we have some dudes, certainly have some dudes, and see how those guys can go. Maybe a little bit back and forth with some of them, but yeah, definitely a group that you're excited about, that D line, especially potential wise.
Probably more rotation on DN next year.
Yeah, you have the ability to do so, and you don't have those guys. So yeah, though Damon, we'll see what we'll do with him. I don't know. It didn't seem like Missouri, from watching Missouri, that they got him off the field. Him and Zion Young seemed to be out there for quite a bit of time without much rotation, so he might be used to it. See how that goes. We need a DT that doesn't jump off sides. I mean, Blade didn't do it in this game. This would have been the game for it. He didn't do it, so hell, we'll take it. But then that's just one side of the line of scrimmage, because over on the other side, we have an offensive tackle that is equally interested in being a Miami Hurricane, though obviously there's still a lot of complexities with that. And I know that with Seton, it's us, and there's LSU, and there's this and that, but I mean, you have to. And Mississippi State, I know they're like hot on his tail too.
They got to visit.
Oregon was over there. They went all the way to Atlanta. Then Lane Kiffin drove up to Atlanta because they saw that Oregon was there, and they showed up to the house, and they were like, Lane was like, "What are you doing? What do you got in there?" Like, nobody, like one of those things. But whole very elaborate thing. But I also feel pretty good about it. But Bill, I'll start with you on the Seton plan of it. Like thoughts, confidence level, and us being able to pull Seton to play left tackle for us with Markel Bell now onto the league.
Yeah, he just became he was probably always a huge priority, but even more, right? Easily the best, tackle in the portal. You're losing four guys from probably the best offensive line in however many years. So
at least since like what 2013, that group.
At least,
yeah, like that 2013 or it's McKinney time. Those are the two.
Yeah. So, from what, kind of the message board, insiders are, hinting at is the longer this goes on, the better it is for Miami. I think everyone at LSU felt pretty good for a while. And then, Lane Kiffin went into stalker mode and wasn't able to close it like kind of how he did with Levitt. So, this is a true, big boy recruitment, both literally and figuratively. But clear plug and play left tackle, that kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility with what you do with, Sampson and McCoy, who you're returning two starters essentially. They kind of split reps. You got a 5-star coming in Cantwell. So you got, that's four out of 5 right there that you could easily probably pencil in. Then you got to figure out the center position. But if you can pull this one off and reload at offensive line, that gives you essentially another first-round pick next year at offensive line, and just continues to add to the legacy at that position that Mario and Alex Mirabal have.
Real quick on this, Seton apparently all but done LSU. The governor's getting involved. Like I'm pretty sure the governor is a I don't know anything about not a politics thing, but pretty sure the governor's a nut. Like, isn't he like the dude that showed up with a tiger to a game and didn't tell anybody? He just like rolled up with a tiger.
I don't know about that, but I knew he was like.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure that was the thing that happened.
With the coaching search.
I'm pretty sure he rolled up with a tiger to a game. I'm gonna Google that, Bill, or I'm gonna Google that while I throw it to Steve. I was talking about Seton and the offensive line.
I mean, you get a left tackle like that, it's going to project your offense, forward just off the rip from a protection standpoint, from the run game standpoint. I do think, Pancake has been groomed to replace, one of the tackles, be it left if we don't land Seton, or be it right if we do, and replace that. I think Pancake has definitely shown on film that he's a dude now. He split reps with McCoy, and McCoy, he's played at high level. He was that guard for the Cam Ward run. So that gives you more space, more pieces. You could have McCoy start full time at left guard, Seton at left tackle, and then you have Pancake at right tackle, and then Jackson Cantwell. You're a 5-star, baby. Show it. You need to be ready to play guard immediately before we kick you out the tackle. I mean, that's why you're getting paid the big bucks, and you'll be next to somebody who just did the same exact thing you're trying to do. Pancake came in as a 5-star tackle. We had bookends. He had to, cut his teeth at guard, and now he's getting kicked out to make that money next year. So Jackson Cantwell, take notes. And then, the center position, I would hope that's an in. I don't really want us to go grab another portal center. They're kind of hit and miss, to be honest with you. We hit big with Matt Lee. I mean, I think that's probably like the best portal center you could have. Brockmeyer, was not bad. I'm not going to say he was bad. And before that, what's the guy from last year? He was pretty good too, Carpenter. But I would just like a guy who can, be that center for years on, like at least 2. Hoping SJ is that guy. We brought him in from Bishop Gorman to be that guy. So hopefully we have him.
Oh, I did find it. LSU governor criticized for bringing a live tiger to football games.
Yeah, no, that's wild.
The tiger's name, he was Mike whatever, Mike 7 or whatever the tiger is, was on campus, but they stopped bringing him to games. So he got a tiger to bring in. Tiger's name, Omar Bradley.
Omar Bradley?
That's the tiger's name. Omar Bradley. Which is pretty wild, but I didn't get a big laugh, so I'm throwing it in there. But
I know LSU is landing like a lot of like good transfer guys, but it just seems like it's going to be a circus there. Governor, Lane is just Lane, but we'll kind of see how that ends. I just hope that Seton can realize where his potential can be reached. And it was floating around. I want to say it was Broussard, the tackle that we were recruiting a while ago.
He went to Ole Miss.
Yeah, and the quote from Lane Kiffin's pitch him was like, "Oh, if oh no, wait, did I have that backwards? It was a receiver or something." He was telling him basically like, if you're a skill position, you come to me. If you're a tackle, you go to Miami. So that kind of made its round on the message board, but it's true to a degree, right? I can't see how he would. Money is obviously going to be a huge factor, but just to see what this what Mario and Alex Mirabal stand for in their track record, it just seems like a perfect match for the young man.
Yeah, you're getting coached at Colorado, bro, for 2 years. Like, yo, come on, let's get ready for the league.
Yeah. Trying to go make some of that big money. I know it's nice and all, but let's go somewhere where
he already making big money. he making more than NFL like first round picks. If you take away the signing bonus, he netting. He is netting right now.
Oh, breaking news: Gerard Pringle is entering the portal. 3 seconds ago, Hayes Fawcett.
Damn. Bill right on it.
Yikes! Wow.
That's the unexpected one that I feel like we get hit with every year.
I mean, to be honest, I asked myself this because Mark declared he was coming back, and I know, Marty Brown's coming back. That just sucks though. It really does suck. Damn, he's gonna be a stud somewhere. I hope he doesn't go to like Louisville or something. That'd be a nightmare.
He seems like the Louisville type of back.
It feels like Louisville. It feels like, knowing nothing, it feels like a Louisville decision.
Well,
fast running back. I
would hate that. But that sucks to have that breaking news right now. Hearing Pringle hit the portal. I just seen his Armwood teammate his Armwood teammate and was about to be his Hurricane teammate Jalen Waters over the weekend, caught up with him. But damn, that's crazy.
Oh, SMU, another like logical fast running back location.
Yeah, and CJ just left from SMU. He went to Clemson. I thought that was a weird move, and not to talk about that.
Who's thinking he's going to be CJ Spiller?
Yeah, I don't know. They probably told him they were going to use him like what's his name again? He's live as hell. I can't believe I just forgot his name. Travis Etienne. Like, is that what they told him? Like, yeah. I don't know. I thought SMU was a good spot for him. He was very good too.
I mean, I fully expected Lyle to transfer just because he wasn't getting on the field at all. But
That was more injury related, though.
yeah. So I figured we'd lose a running back. I wasn't expecting it to be Pringle because I think Nebraska was tampering with Marty Brown. But it sounds like he's coming back. So there's your top 3 backs for next year because you need 3 with how injuries pile up. So
not a bad 3, not a bad 3 to go with. So especially when Mark in the running for best running back in the country coming back. There's a handful of guys, but he's definitely in the conversations. Could be worse. And Mallory coming in. Good point by Giovanni Foster. Good point. So anyway, not the best news, but then the other news with regards to transfer and impossibilities there is obviously the most complicated one, and that's Darian Mensah and the never-ending back and forth. And it's only been 5 days or 6 days of this, and then but it feels like it's been going on for months. This back and forth with Mensah and the legal experts on Twitter, and the transfer portal possibilities, and it's all this stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I'm already like, come on, Duke, just give up and just let this happen. It's gonna happen in some degree. Just walk away from it. Stupid LSU had to be soft and poor, so they couldn't give the kid from Washington any money.
Yeah.
So now everyone thinks that I could just force the kid to stay and not worry about it, even though the contracts are all written on Rice Krispie treats. Anyway, but Bill, I assume that you spend a lot more time on Twitter, reading all the ridiculous stuff about this. I'm gonna start with you, but your confidence level on Mensah being a Hurricane at the end of this saga.
I'm high on it. I think it's just a matter of when. Just from there's a lot of internet lawyers out there, especially on the Duke side as well. So there's a lot of kind of conflicting information, but I think kind of the bottom line is that no court is going to compel Darian Mensah to stay at and play at Duke as a non-employee and as a as a student athlete. So I think it kind of ends with just either the court telling Duke no, file for damages, and then obviously I'm sure Miami would jump in and pay some of that, but I feel like that's kind of how it ends. But who knows how long this can drag out. That's kind of my concern. I think it was Barry Jackson reported today that he's not going back to Duke. That I think that bridge has been burned. So I think Duke is just trying to. The kid from San Jose State. So I think they're just going to try and drag this out as long as they can. Maybe they can keep him out of spring ball. But I know, I'm sure Miami would make a special exception for kind of this unique circumstance. But February 2nd is the next kind of key date for a hearing, which could be moved up, although I doubt Duke would.
It's going to pass the enrollment date at Miami for spring. That's the issue. Yeah, that's what Duke's doing. They're kicking the can past the last date that he can enroll for classes. So if you're not a student athlete, you can't compete in student athlete. You're a student, you can't be a student athlete.
There'll be a lot of.
There would be some finagling. I'm sure finagling could be done.
No, I don't think. Honestly, to be honest with you guys, that I don't think there's any way that if we have to wait till February 2nd. I mean, you have add or drop week to play with, where you could, throughout the first week, you could add and drop classes, switch out your schedule and whatnot. Maybe that's a loop, but I mean, I just don't know. The deadline is the 23rd. So if you're talking February 2nd, I don't know, bro.
We have a very pro-athletic administration now. I'm sure they can figure something out because that's a Miami thing, right? That's not an NCAA
Miami
deal.
I'm saying we don't know what's going to come from that hearing. So Miami has to just pay damages and he's going to what if
I don't think we have to
get
accept
the scholarship?
We don't have to get to that. We just have to get to the reality of a school cannot tell a kid you're not allowed to go to that school. That's where we are. Because
the NCAA has yet to put anybody as an employee.
Right. So you can't say a kid can't transfer schools. right?
No.
That's 100% a thing. That's what Lucas did. He was like, all right, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, but we don't know. So the Lucas thing happened last year, right? Everybody in the country knows what happened. The Big Ten went to bat. Wisconsin sued. So whatever was in that contract that didn't stop, Lucas from
Right.
leaving, I'm pretty sure there's updated language. I mean, and he just signed that contract with Duke, it's not the first one he signed. So they definitely have updated some language. So even if the hearing is February 2nd and it's, Miami has to do this, and that, their intention is to make, I'm pretty sure Duke's only intention now is to keep him out from competing with Miami as long as possible, out of spite.
Right.
So
I don't know
that's the problem.
I don't know if he'll be able to practice with Miami as a student athlete, but I contend that there is nothing they can do to keep him from unenrolling from a school and enrolling in a different school.
But they're literally
Purely
doing
as
it
academic.
right now. He literally can't do it until February 2nd. So technically, whatever was in that contract is limiting him because he would have just came like Lucas did. So there's definitely language in that contract that they're trying to challenge, but it's clearly, if you hired that attorney, who literally the same attorney Hetner that got Lucas here to Miami, and he has you, and he's on Twitter giving updates like, yo, we have to wait till February 2nd. That means you can't just unenroll and enroll, because that contract literally states, hey, he can't enroll in another university despite even it being just academic. He probably got to go to a community college. Like, you can get your education, bro, but it's going to be at Broward Community College, Miami-Dade Community College. You're not going to the University of Miami.
Well, if they don't have a football team, maybe there's like a thing they could do.
Yeah, so
there was a weird, I think this was like a weird situation because the judge that ruled on it has a conflict of interest, being like a Duke booster, season ticket holder, or his wife is a librarian or some shit. So basically he just kind of kicked the can down the road and just like kind of said, hey, like nothing's going to happen until that second. And from what I was kind of reading, it basically Mensa didn't have a chance to like bring up any points or anything like that. It was just, from the Duke side. So February 2nd, I'm hoping they can at least, get it pushed up a week, although it's not friendly territory. But this will end with either him going into the portal, but the court did say they have to put him in the portal. And it's now 9:51 on the last day. So hopefully we see that soon. But we really want to see that date get moved up. And then I think this will get cleared up pretty quickly with a large payment going to Duke from Darian Mensa via the Columbus Mafia.
Yeah, and I think most logical scenario is that Duke eventually comes to its senses and is like, you know what, you give us the $4 million that the rest of the contract is made up, and give us the $4 million, then we're good. Mensa makes his whatever, and then we're out of there.
Going for more than $4 million. They might honestly get like 6, 7, because they're going to have to get paid for what they paid him, and then the damages, which I'm cool with that. But this is just showing how fragile college football is, to be honest with you. But I mean, it's happening for my team, so I'm all with it. But this is terrible, to be honest, for the sport.
Oh, terrible, Steve-O. It's been terrible for years now. It's just
this
is just the latest.
Yeah, they need to just name these kids as employees already, and so everybody can move, contractually, and you can stabilize the development. You're starting to see some of this transfer portal culture. Not panning out as much in the NFL, especially these quarterbacks who just get into a new system, and they're literally just spoon-fed reads and all these things. I don't think it's good for players' development. So hopefully the NCAA, they'll never be as powerful as they once were, but just say, hey, they're an employee, and just let the contracts be contracts, because everybody's signing 2-year deals, like straight out of high school. It's a mandatory 2-year deal, between you and the school. So a lot of these kids that are hitting the portal are being told to hit the portal. So, that's one thing that people don't understand, that you're on 1-year rentals from the university side too. So a lot of these, why is this guy hitting the portal, is, sometimes they get pushed out, to be real with you, bro. So if you put a 2-year contract instead, and that makes the school abide by that as well. So I think it will just happen, and maybe some more kids will get a degree than the thousands who are just left out there in the void.
Yeah.
And this will be another kind of just case of a judge being like, no, you can't hold players like that because they're not employees. The whole damages thing, that's probably way down the road. That's the whole separate probably hearing and motions and all that. So we're a week and a half away or so from February 2nd. Oh no, yeah, week and a couple of days there. So it's gonna have to just be patient. I think the fear, right, is obviously like a rogue judge, and obviously they could be appeals, but does Mensa just get fed up and just say, no, like I don't want to go through this anymore. I'll take my $4 million and try and make amends. So I think that's the fear, but it's been out there that I think the bridge has been burned. So
yeah. And like the fact that he is going into that thing with $4 million in his pocket from last year, I think is a benefit because it definitely helps like ease that burden a little bit. And I think too, there's a little. I think Miami's people will find wiggle room because I think this entire thing, a lot of what's been done around the country, Miami was one of the first teams to do a lot of these things, and other people took Miami's lead. I think they've been to the forefront of a lot of the NIL stuff since the very beginning. His contract with Duke ends December 31st, 2026. So it ends before any sort of playoff game, really any significant playoff games happen next year. So that's a part of the puzzle too that could be explored with regards to.
You think we start a freshman for 12 games and
No,
then put him into the playoffs?
I think that his rights might stay with Duke, but I think he could play for Miami, even though his NIL rights will stay with Duke. Like I'll say, yeah, you could make all the money you need off of Darian Mensah. Like whenever like his name pops up on ESPN, it'll say like Darian Mensah, Miami, but technically Duke too, or like have to put a logo on the field or whatever. Maybe he has to have like a sponsorship patch of like Duke University.
If I believe if they
Duke.edu,
they still have to pay him.
Well, that's the thing. If the only way Duke's going to make any money on this deal at this point is if Miami pays it. So I don't know, but I know that there's also this too. But I think there's something about like the transferring the revenue share and all, which is
they literally have his NIL rights. That's literally what the revenue share is.
So I don't know, but it's one of those complicated things. But if all of a sudden Miami was like, hey, we're going to sign you to a contract on January 1st, 2027 for $10 million.
Think about this, right? The school Duke, right? They're in a media contract with ACC. They are selling their rights, their NIL, name, image, likeness to the ACC, and getting that cut from the TV networks, which is ESPN. The revenue share contract is for players to get a piece of that money. So guess what they're doing? They're giving their NIL likeness and stuff to facilitate those deals. It's literally that's literally what it is. I promise you. So yeah, they do own those name, image, and likeness rights. But I think people know this can get challenged in court. The Washington situation just happened where he tried to leave. Was going to be a terrible path because of the language and verbiage of his contract. And he decided to stay. We're hearing very different things from Mensah that he's just done with Duke. So hopefully he stays like that because, we'll see what happens. But I think he's the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes in 2026. I just don't know, when he's going to be able to start.
Yeah. So, I mean, the beauty of like modern college football is that, Beck was hurt, so Beck couldn't do much. But these guys are around campus constantly. So it's not like, okay, if spring practice, then, hey, I don't see you again for a couple of months. So just for him to be around and participating, even if it may not be in the most official form in the short term, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So, but we'll see. They're on. I don't know what the NCAA would even do if we would just start to think, okay, actually he's practicing with us. What are they going to do? So, I doubt they want a court case at any point added on to it now because at this point it's just survival and paychecks for them. We'll see how it goes. But Mensah, that'll be a week and a half or so of conversation before we get any more information about that. But hopefully by next week, we're in a better state where we could talk about two more solidified guys. And the clock is ticking towards 10 o'clock. So we'll get into all of the transfer guys next week on the show. We'll save that for then once the sting of the loss is a little bit further on. But we have a lot of good players who have already committed their time to Miami. A couple kickers, which I know Steve-O is working on his film review for. So I want to make sure that those film reviews come out first before we get to talking about those guys. Could not be more excited. Like the text chain when we got those kickers, man, Steve-O was on like 7-8 messages in a row. All we could do was send emojis back, and he would just be bang, another one. So talk about all that. So maybe we'll hit on those things we get to next week. And then, and honestly, I feel pretty good that we'll have a better idea about the quarterback spot next week. I don't think it's going to drag quite as long. Johnny Jackson, the Emperor -8 X8N. Mensa should wear a North Carolina jersey in court.
So what's crazy? Like we're talking about like trying to get like fair hearings in North Carolina. So we're trying to steal Duke's quarterback. We play North Carolina next year. We play Wake, and we probably tamper with CJ Bailey to an extent. So all 4 North Carolina schools probably hate us. So we need to find an out-of-state North Carolina judge.
Well, I think if it's a Tar Heel guy, I think he'll hate Duke enough to look past everything else and be like, you know what, I can let this go.
No, I 100% am with you with that. I think we could just find a judge in the Carolina on the other side.
Yeah.
But and the ACC, isn't their headquarters in North Carolina? We need to be like, look, hey, bro,
right.
Miami did you the biggest favor. It wasn't from us, you wouldn't even have a playoff team. Just sit this one out, bro. Sit this one out, bro. Tell the ACC like, yo, hey, bro.
We can't even say that we made them a bunch of money because we get to keep it all. Thank you, Florida State and Clemson.
Yeah,
no one saw a
exactly.
penny from that, other than just the exposure.
Yeah, we let Clemson and Florida State pay for all that for us to come up $30+ million. Now we're going to tell the ACC, yo, hey, nobody in your conference is going to beat the Big Ten or SEC teams in the playoffs right now as it stands. We want this quarterback. We getting this quarterback. When the NCAA figures it out, they figure it out. Until then, back the Brinks truck up, baby.
Tell Duke to relax. They got their basketball team. They can worry about that.
Yeah, I'm sure the university's pocketing some good money, but that money's going right back into the roster. Literally good. You think about the books, some of the contracts that are coming off the book. Sounds like NFL talk. It's crazy, but some of the contracts coming off the book, you don't think Mezzi and Bain were getting mad money? Like, duh. You don't think Coop and CC were getting mad money? You don't think they was paying a 6'9" left tackle mad money? We are going to retool.
Yeah, which great to hear. Great to hear, Steve-O. That's what we're talking about. Go get some of these guys, and we'll see how that retooling goes, and we'll be in the same conversations. Or maybe a little bit of a more fortuitous conversation at this exact point next year. Though, hell, next year it won't even matter because we won't even be at the game yet. Because next year the championship game is on the 24th of January, which is stupid.
What?
It's a full, Steve-O, it's over 5 months after the start of the NCAA season. 5 months, 5 calendar months go by, and we aren't even at I gotta see when week 0 is.
It's usually the week before Labor Day.
Labor Day is weird this year.
Why the 24th? Why? What's wrong with
the whole calendar? I know Lashley kind of went off about it this week.
All right, August 29th is the first game, so it's 5 days short of 5 calendar months.
Too long, bro. They're gonna tear college football apart. They can't fix this calendar. That's for everybody. Literally, not just us because we made a run. Even teams that don't make the playoffs, the calendar sucks.
Yeah, even teams that are playing in bowl games are dealing with it too.
There's no incentive to play in a bowl game.
Yeah, and everyone's moved on. Like the coaches have moved on to recruiting and the transfer portal. Like at that point, they were saying, "I got to prepare for this game too." Come on, unless it's the Pop-Tart Bowl, obviously, because that's obviously it's a national treasure. But everything else. But all right, well, we'll get up out of here. Obviously Miami didn't get the job done the other day, but the job I think is far from over with regards to how this team is looking right now. And we have a coach that, despite all the fears early on, people are like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I don't think there's any doubt that Mario is the guy for the job and doing with Miami, what feels like it could be the start of something really special here as we continue to build out, and not going to be 23 years before the next one. I know that for sure. Before we get out, Bill, final thoughts for the people.
Yeah, I think as we put a bow on this season, I genuinely enjoyed watching this team play because they played so hard. Didn't always execute probably to the standard that they would want to, but they just played so hard, so physical. Too many guys to name, but just thinking about we're talking about the portal, but guys that flew under the radar a little bit last year, the Keontae Scotts, the Jacoby Thomases, they brought a ton of juice and energy to this team, and it was just a pleasure watching them go out there every week and just maul people and put it all out on the line. So to all the players leaving, it was a great season. I think that the fans really, appreciate what they watched this year, and we haven't been able to say that for quite a while.
100%. Steve-O, final thoughts to the people.
What a ride! Came up short, but man, what a ride! Just as the crazy hurricane addict I am, I'll be ready. Follow on this transfer portal. Follow on it, see if we add any extra high school kids that are still available to be signed until February signing day, because no stone's going to be left unturned. You got kids that are getting released out of all these high school kids are getting released out of their NLIs because their head coaches have left. Some of those have just transferred to the school the head coach went to, but there's still some on the market. So don't be surprised if talent acquisition looks like anything other than just portal, because, there could be a high school guy out there. Not saying there is, but, there might be, especially to replace some stuff.
Have to keep an eye out. This is the part that we're at this part of the offseason a lot earlier. So it's going to take a little bit of adjustment for a lot of the fans who are riding that wave to get into it. But this is something that Miami does really well, that we've had some really complicated situations in the past. I feel like every year now we're having some kind of legal conversation in there too, but it's usually works out pretty well in the favor of the orange and green. So just stay positive about that. But that'll do it for us. Thank you for all of you guys all season long. And now that we're in, off-season mode, so we'll really kick our feet up and have some fun. So off-season mode for the rest of, as we continue this show all the way up through August again to roll back into next year. We appreciate you guys following the show all season long. It's been a great ride, and for guys that had to show up on Wednesday after a Middle Tennessee loss a couple of years back, and we lived in the pain on that one. I mean, that was a hard show. That was a tough show.
That was harder than today.
That was harder than today. That was it. We had to get out here, and Steve-O had to smile and be like, "It's all right, guys. We'll be okay. Go 1-0." But yeah, today was obviously not what you want, but at the same time, great season. Exactly what everyone would have dreamed of before the season started was a chance to play in the national championship game. I didn't believe it was possible, even though I said 12-0 at the beginning of the season like Steve-O does, but I do it just to stay positive. Bill gave 10-2. I don't think he was thinking national championship game. Steve-O, as positive as you are, Steve-O, do you ever think national championship game in 2026?
I mean, I just didn't think we were ready. I mean, after we lost to SMU, I hell no.
I don't
we were
think
talking 7-5 after SMU.
Yeah, I don't think I can read the messages I sent after.
Yeah, happened. So I mean, I'd be lying if I said yeah.
So pretty crazy, but here we are. Now we're a team that people talk about. We're a team that's going to be on everybody's top 10, maybe top 5 list for next season. We're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore. So now it's like the old days, got to go back and prove ourselves and make it right back. We'll see how that goes. So thank you to everybody over at CanesInSight. Thank you to you guys for watching the show all season long, and especially today here as we wrap things up. We look forward to an exciting off season, hopefully of many fortuitous days for the Hurricanes as we roll into the 2026 Miami Hurricanes football season. So Bill and Steve-O, I'm Chris. Thank you guys for watching the show. We'll see you again next week right here on 2 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.